Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial we are going to learn the beloved Kitchener stitch, which is a worldwide known technique which allows you to create an almost invisible seamless join between two sets of live stitches. The Kitchener stitch is named after Lord Herbert Kitchener, which was a British military leader during World War One. And while it's unclear whether he personally invented the stitch, it gained widespread recognition and association with his name because of its role to improve soldiers' socks during the long marches. So, to start the Kitchener stitch, cut your working yarn and leave a tail about 3 times the length of the section you need to craft. Thread the yarn onto a blunt tipped tapestry needle. This type of needle is perfect for crafting because it won't split the stitches as you work. Bring the two pieces you want to join with the wrong sides together, so the purl sides have to face each other. So first we are going to work setup stitches. This means on the front needle, insert the needle purlwise into the first stitch and pull the yarn through. Leave the stitch on the needle. So that you can see better what I'm doing, I'm using a white yarn thread here, but you are going to work with your working yarn. So, and now to the back needle. Insert your needle knitwise into the stitch and pull the yarn through. Leave the stitch on the needle. So now we are going to repeat the same steps until all stitches are crafted. Insert the needle knitwise into the first stitch and drop the stitch off the needle. Insert the needle purlwise into the next stitch, pull the yarn through and leave the stitch on the needle. So now we are working the back needle. Insert the needle purlwise into the first stitch and drop the stitch off the needle. Insert the needle knitwise into the next stitch, pull the yarn through and leave the stitch on the needle. Everything is loose here. So now back to the front needle. Insert the needle knitwise into the first stitch and drop the stitch off the needle. Insert your needle purlwise into the next stitch and leave the stitch on the needle. Now to the back needle, insert the needle purlwise into the first stitch and drop the stitch off and insert your needle into the next stitch knitwise, pull the yarn through and leave it on the needle. So you can see we have worked a few stitches here. On my swatch everything looks looser because I didn't weave in my yarn ends. So back to the front needle, insert your needle knitwise and drop the stitch off the needle and then insert the needle purlwise, pull the yarn through and leave the stitch on the needle. On the back needle, insert your needle purlwise into the first stitch and drop the stitch off the needle. Insert your needle knitwise into the next stitch and leave the stitch on the needle. So this is your repeating pattern. On a front needle, knit off, purl on, and on a back needle, purl off and knit on. So knit off, purl on, and on a back needle, purl off, knit on. You can say this in your head over and over. Front, knit off, front, purl on, back, purl off, back, purl on. This mantra will help you to stay on track. And here you can see why this Kitchener stitch is also called an invisible seam, because the stitches we just crafted are resembling little V's, just like your knit stitches. So let me show you one more time with the mantra we have. Front knit off, front purl on, back purl off, back knit on. Stop every few stitches to adjust your tension so that the seam you have just created matches the knit stitches from your fabric. And don't be shy, pull on the stitches because you can't break anything. But be careful to not make it too tight, because when you make it too tight, the stitches are vanishing into the fabric. I will show you this at the end of this video tutorial, how this looks when you are pulling your kitchen stitch too tight. So I have only 3 stitches left, and I wanted to work them with you together because I want to show you how you um, work the last 2 stitches. So when you are at your last stitches, knit off and purl on, and at the back needle you're going to purl off and knit on. So, and now on the front needle you are simply going to knit off, and the back needle is going to be a purl off. So pull the yarn through, and then you are going to adjust the stitches or the seam until you are happy with the result. And to finish it, you are going to weave in all your ends. The Kitchener stitch is a very stretchy and invisible way to graft your stitches together, and you can use it everywhere you want to. You can use it for mittens, socks, you can use it to graft shoulder straps together, so the possibilities are endless. You can see here I grafted the sock toes together with the Kitchener stitch, and it's almost invisible. So, and at the end, I wanted to show you what happened when you are working your Kitchener stitch too tight or you're pulling on your yarn tail like I do. You can see all the stitches, all your hard work is just vanishing. And you have created a very visible seam here. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it's not the purpose of the Kitchener stitch. And it's also not as stretchy. So that's already it for today's tutorial. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending your precious time with me. I hope you learned a lot about the Kitchener stitch. I wish you all the best. Stay healthy. Until next time. Bye.